Was am Wochenende mit Alice Weidel gemacht wurde, ist unakzeptabel. Wirklich unakzeptabel. Das war die größte Nazi-Taktik, das ich je gesehen habe, ja, in Deutschland. Und das sind Leute, die uns immer Nazis nennen, obwohl sie sich als Nazis verhalten. Komisch, gell? Das ist überall auf die Welt das Gleiche. Linke Leute beschimpfen uns über Sachen, die dieselbe machen oder machen würden. Weißt, wenn die schreien, du bist ein Nazi, schreien die eigentlich, ich bin ein Nazi. Weil das sind die Nazis. Die Nazis haben Alice Weidel ihr Sommerinterview völlig verstört. Völlig verstört. Es war ein Drama. Es kann es eigentlich nicht anders sagen. Und jetzt schalte ich wieder, wie gewöhnlich, über auf Englisch, damit ich meine englische und amerikanische Freunde kurz erklären kann, was jetzt in Deutschland, das Land von nie wieder ist, jetzt sich abspielt gerade. So, people, when the politicians get to have their well-deserved 60-day vacation, they always do individual summer interviews. And the summer interviews are done by the state-sponsored propaganda television stations, right? In this case, it was the ARD interviewing Alice Weidel, the leader of the opposition party here in Germany, the Alternative for Deutschland, which is the only party that actually talks about and wants to implement policies that will benefit the people living and paying taxes in Germany. They're the only ones. The establishment is completely gone. Just like in every country in the Western world. The left is getting clobbered everywhere. People are done with leftist politics, leftist bullshit, climate hysteria, the whole thing. They're done. And they're showing that everywhere. You know, whether it's Romania or Hungary or the United States with Donald Trump, here with the AfD rising in the polls, they're done. Right? But the left is fighting back. And they're fighting back the only way they know how. And that is through propaganda, lying, cheating, corruption, and Nazi tactics. They're the ones that continue to point the finger at everybody screaming how much of a Nazi they are. And they themselves employ Nazi tactics. And they did that this weekend during the summer interview for Alice Weidel. So, just so you guys know, just want to paint a picture. The summer interview, I've watched a lot of them, right? Every politician that goes on these summer interviews, it's a quiet area. They have a nice conversation. They don't get grilled. They don't get asked tough questions. It's all softballs. It's all political propaganda because, again, the interview is being given by a propaganda arm of the government. Because you see here, kind of like PBS and NPR, which are now dead in America because Donald Trump crushed them and took away their money, and that's it, right? Here we have the ARD, the ZDF. It's called the Öffentlich-Rechtliche Rundfunk. It's the public news broadcasting system, right? Stations. And they get financed 8 billion euro a year by me and other taxpayers here in the country, right? Alongside, we're also paying for every illegal immigrant to basically sit on the fucking couch and get free money. We're paying for Ukraine to keep getting his ass kicked in a war that we have absolutely nothing to do with under the guise of, Putin will be in Berlin in any minute. All bullshit. But we're being forced to pay for it at the point of a gun. Same thing with these TV stations, right? So Alice Weidel gets invited to do a summer interview, but the whole government and its propaganda arms, the media, are against the AfD, right? They don't like the AfD. The narrative is the AfD are Nazis. They want to implement far-right policies. They are the haters of humanity. They don't believe in climate change. They hate illegals and brown people. The whole thing. The same thing as Trump in America. The same thing as Hungary as Orban in Hungary. It's the same playbook everywhere, right? So during the summer interview, a giant bus pulls up outside the studio, which is, they're giving an interview outdoors, right? They're giving an interview outdoors. It's like above the street in Berlin, right? And outside there is a small protest against the AFD, against Elise Vidal, because of course they advertised that what day she was coming on, what day the show was going to be. So basically they were dog whistling their troops, right, to come and ruin her interview. And so there were whistles and bells and loud and people screaming and chanting. They even had a choir to sing about how bad the AFD is. And then they pulled a giant bus up filled with speakers and drowned her out completely. She couldn't understand shit that the fucking interview was saying. She couldn't understand the interviewer. She had an echo in her ear with her earpiece. The interviewer couldn't understand her. And, you know, a professional station would just take the interview inside then in an area where there could be heard. If it would have been any other politician, they would have broken off the interview and put it inside or canceled it, right? They would not have sat there and had Elise Vidal go through this shit, not being able to explain a goddamn thing. Now, I do think that, again, it's going to backfire, right? Because it always does. And that's our luck. We're lucky with that, right? It's going to backfire. But they aired this interview 2 hours later with all the noise, with the whole awkward fucking, I can't hear you, please repeat yourself, I can't hear you, I can't hear you. I mean, you can go watch it. It's ridiculous, right? These people get $8 billion a year. Euros, right? They could have edited the sound out, right? They could have edited the sound, the background noise out, amplified her voice and the interviewer's voice so that at least the people at home could understand what she was saying when she did hear the question. But they didn't. They released it just like this and said, well, you know, we couldn't, then what can we do? We can't just, these people have a right to protest. We can't just kick them off the fucking street. Dude, if it would have been Friedrich Merz, the fake chancellor, that, that's actually a stand-in for Lars Klingbeil, who lost the election, but is now actually the chancellor. This would have never happened, right? They would have, the ARD station would have never aired this the way it was. I mean, people on their phones can drown out the fucking background noise, and there's videos out there already of people that just edited it at home, and now you can hear it perfectly. It's insane, right? But Elise Vidal took it real well. She stayed. She didn't walk off. If it would have been me, dude, you know, I'm glad I'm not in these politics shit. I'm glad I'm not in the position of Elise Vidal, because she has to maintain the face of her party. She's already got the deck stacked against her, right? And then you get treated like a piece of shit by everybody that you give your time to, right? If I was Elise Vidal, I would not give the time of day to these fucking propaganda stations, because I know they're going to try to fuck me. You know what I'm saying? One way or another, they're going to cut clips, they're going to fucking take shit I said out of context, or they're just going to get their fucking street troops to come out and ruin the whole interview so that nobody can understand me and I can't understand anybody. And then the smug fucking interviewer sat there and, sorry, it's kind of your fault, you know? It's kind of you. You attract a lot of negative attention, and what can we do, right? I mean, I would not be able to keep my cool dealing with all these leftist fucking useless eater pieces of shit scumbag motherfuckers, right? I just wouldn't be able to do. I would have already strangled one on live television. I would, because I can't stand their smug fucking face. That's why I'm happy that I'm not like a public figure or something. I don't have to. The only thing that's keeping me from basically beating the fuck out of all these leftists that come and bother me with anything is jail. You know what I'm saying? That's pretty much it. But I don't have to keep a political party together that's got the deck stacked against them. I don't have to keep my cool. You know what I mean? There's not a bunch of other people dependent on my success than me. Okay, my wife. You know what I mean? But I wouldn't have been. I wouldn't be able to do it. It would drive me. I would lose my shit. Right? I would lose my shit. But Elise Vidal took it real well. She stayed the entire time. She tried to answer the questions. And I think it'll work out in their favor in the end, because now the regular normies that still watch this state propaganda BS see what they've done. They can make the comparison in their head. They can know what all the other summary interviews look like. They've watched them all, right? They know. And they know that these companies that get 8 billion euros of our money can easily edit the sound out so that it sounds at least listenable, right? You know, they know that. So I think, once again, this is going to backfire against the left and their tactics, right? And their fucking useless eater, soldiers, the Antifa, and all these fucking protesters against the right, and Omas gegen Rechtsen. Fuck off. I think it's time we start making our own protests, right? I think it's time we start protesting everywhere against these people. As soon as we find out, on Facebook there's groups that show you the dates of certain protests and where they're going to be. I would just be a member of that group and then start fucking, organizing anti-protests and getting out there and showing them who's the bigger crap in reality, right? Because right now it seems like the media, because the left is so loud, they're not in the majority. They're just loud and obnoxious, right? And I bet you if AFD supporters got out in the street and all banded together, I bet our crowd is much bigger than theirs, right? And it's time to start intimidating these fucking people, right? That's what it is. And I'm not saying beat them or hurt them or use violence. No, our presence alone everywhere will intimidate them enough because they are truly afraid of anything that comes from the right. You know what I'm saying? We're like ghosts to them. We're like, the bitch that comes out of the TV in the ring. You know what I mean? So just our being there will freak them out. I don't understand why more people in Germany don't just get out there and fucking start antagonizing these fucking people. You know what I'm saying? Use their own tactics against them. Provoke them. You know what I mean? I mean, shit. If one of them jumps out of the crowd and tries to start a fucking fight with one of our people, you know what I mean? Hey, we know who the violent ones are. It's not the right, okay? It's not the right. You know what I mean? The left is the most violent. Look at what's going on in America, right? It's the left. It's the Democrats. They are the violent ones, not us. They're also the Nazis, not us. Because, again, Joseph Goebbels used to take trucks with big giant speakers on them and put them up at political rallies and political speeches and elections when the opposition was speaking or trying to get the public's attention. He would use the loudspeakers and the trucks to drown them out so nobody heard them. That's a Nazi tactic, right? That's a Nazi tactic. And the left, once again, probably unknowing to them, right? Because they don't know anything. They don't know history. They don't know anything. They just do. They react, right? And so they, the ones that are screaming about how everybody else is fucking Nazi, right? They went out and used a specific Nazi method to drown out the opposition, Alice Weidel, on the street. And the state propaganda media, for which we all have to pay at the point of a gun, did nothing. Did nothing. It's utterly insane that we continue to allow these people to bully everybody around, right? It is insane. It has to stop. These people are dangerous because, yes, many of them are very stupid. They're obviously stupid because these people actually believe that the AFD is the reincarnation of the Nazi party. They do. But that's because they're so fucking stupid that they don't even know that there's a giant difference, right? They're so stupid. They're so loyal to the government narrative. These people, back in the day of the Nazis, would have thrown a Jew under the bus at the feet of Hitler any moment, any time. And they run around pretending like they're the righteous protectors of freedom and democracy. They're evil, stupid, dumb, useless eaters. Nutzlose Fresser, right? I never thought I would adopt that phrase. You all know Harari said it at the WEF. He said when AI gets to be AGI, there's going to be a lot of useless eaters on the planet. He's talking about all of us. Basically, that's it, all right? And I thought that was a pretty offensive phrase, but he is right in a sense. There are a lot of useless eaters. And these leftist drone automaton zombies that follow government narrative under the guise of fighting the right are stupid and dangerous because that's the combination. They are dumb, useless, but very dangerous motherfuckers, right? They're dangerous in a way that cult members are dangerous, right? Cult members join a certain cult and feel that they are justified in all of their actions because they feel like their worldview and the cultural worldview is the morally or the righteous or the correct one. That's the problem with these people. That's what the Nazis also thought. That's what all of these tyrants and killers, Mao, you know what I'm saying? You name it. Mao, Stalin, Lenin. They all were ideological, right? They all believed that they were doing the right thing for humanity. And that's what these leftist morons think. They really think that AfD is the reincarnation of the Nazi Party. And that alone makes them extremely dangerous, because if you really thought that Hitler was on the rise again in Germany, of all places, right? If you really thought that, you probably would go to any length to make sure that stops, because you don't want to live in that situation, right? You'd probably go to any length. And that's what these people are doing. And they are very dangerous because they're so stupid, because they're so dumb, right? But they are also absolute pussies, right? They are absolute pussies. And I'm not saying that they're not willing to use violence. They sure are. In groups, for sure. Alone, not so much, right? But why are we letting stupid, pussy, useless eater people, right, fucking bully us around at every corner? It is time to fight back. We have, you know what I'm saying? The only tactic, I think, you know, is they have to be more scared of us than they are of the AfD being the Nazi Party, right? We have to start showing them that they are wrong. And if they want to continue to be wrong, they can by themselves, but they are no longer going to influence the greater majority of the people in this country or any other country. And the way to show them that is to not just fucking sit there and bitch about shit. People, we have to go on the offensive against these people. You know what I mean? And what I mean by that is, I mean in your personal life. In your personal life, it's time to start confronting these morons, right? In your family, when you, people you work with, people you know. Stop letting them get away with bullshit like, oh, but the AfD is far right, or fucking any bullshit shit that they've heard on the news. When they open their mouth and say something that you know is absolute bullshit, you confront them on it. And we have to do that on a daily basis, constantly. And if that means these people are going to walk away as your friend, or they don't want to hang out with you anymore, or they delete you from Facebook, or that's too fucking bad. Be happy you don't have to fight them with weapons yet, right? Because that, I say it all the time, that is where we are headed, right? They're not going to stop. They are going to push, as long as they keep getting away with it. They're going to push until the dam breaks and the real far right comes out. And people on the street start joining them and saying, enough is enough, right? At some point, the establishment governments and their street thug, fucking useless eater people are going to push the regular citizenry, whether it's through mass migration, a two-tier justice system, you name it, too many taxes, whatever it is. They are going to push us to the point where violent revolt will be the only option. And so I would like to, and I'm sure many also out there would like to, not let it get to that point, if at all possible. Right? So the only way to do that is start fighting back now with the tools we have now. You know, and there's a good online presence of people that support the AfD and are totally against this leftist bullshit. The online presence is good, but we have to start doing this in, you know, taking that into real life, and stop being afraid if a work colleague gets offended or the neighbor doesn't like you anymore. No, all that shit is out the window. It's too late for that shit. Fuck it. You know what I'm saying? Truth is more important at this point than fake friendships based on bullshit. Right? It's time to start confronting these maniacs with their lunacy and putting it down wherever we can. And when I was talking about the protest shit, the demonstrations, I was serious. You know what I'm saying? I would like to see way bigger, way more AFD protests and demonstrations on the streets. Every time these leftist morons get out somewhere, our side has to be out there as well. It doesn't have to be even AFD supporters, just anti-left, right? Just anti this insane faux reality that these people are trying to foist upon us. You know? You don't even have to support the AFD for that. What these people are trying to do is insane. And the problem is they continue to get away with it because we let them get away with it, right? And if these people start realizing that they're actually not really on the popular side, that they're really actually not the cool kids, that actually most people disagree with them, but the reason they don't know that is because most people are afraid to open their fucking mouths. When they realize they're the minority, they will shut the fuck up, right? They will. Right now, the left all over the world is emboldened to continue this crusade of lunacy, right? They're emboldened because the pushback is not enough. It's minimal, right? Even Trump in America is not doing enough to hold the Democrats, the left, and their corrupt crony fucking people, hold them to account. There's still nobody's been arrested. They're talking about investigations and blah, blah. Who gives a shit? You know what I'm saying? Until I see people in handcuffs and shit, I don't care about what they say. All over the world, the right seems to be too afraid to really fight back against the left. And I know what it is. I know they're worried. Because once the right flexes at all, it's going to be, oh, it's fascism, it's Mussolini is back, and oh, it's Stalin. They look, they said boo to us. They're the fat. That's what our side is worried about. Well, it's time for the gloves to come off and the worry to go away. Fuck it. Who cares what they say, right? This is about our futures and those people that have kids, their futures, right? We cannot allow something that is clearly insane, which is this leftist ideology that all of the establishment parties in Germany are part of, right? They're just under a different flag, the Green Party, the CDU, CSU. But they're all under the same umbrella of ideology from the left. We cannot allow that to take over the country because it'll be in every facet of our lives. We saw it with the woke shit, right? The woke shit has to be crushed completely, killed. Kill the woke shit completely, right? It's an ideology that has to die. But if the right or the people on our side, let's put it that way, right, is so afraid to fight or to show their teeth because they're worried about being called a Nazi or a fascist, well, then they've got you by the balls, right? Because just like they have Friedrich Merz by the balls, right? They've got Friedrich Merz by the balls because he refuses to work with the AFD, which is the only party that coincides with his CDU party's policies at all, right? And he refused to work with them because he's afraid to be called a Nazi because the left has made it popular for everybody in the country to think the AFD are Nazis. And so the left has got complete control over Friedrich Merz just because of using the guilt by association card, right? Which is insane that a politician would let themselves get put into a corner like this, right? By their political adversaries. That's madness. And that shows you how dangerous this ideology is. They can get smart, well-thinking, well-rounded people like Friedrich Merz obviously was before the cult got a hold of him, right? Otherwise, you don't make it this far in life. They're able to turn them into like mindless zombies. That's a skill, people. You know what I mean? Friedrich Merz was a so-called conservative before the election, and after the election is a complete leftist. Right? He is in service of the leftist ideology. It's insane. So we are in danger of getting ruled in every facet of our lives by people that are lunatics and believe in things that do not coincide with reality at all. And they're getting ready to use whatever tool they can, judgeships, the courts, the justice system, the politics, the media. They're getting ready to use whatever tool they can get their hands on to cram down their woke, bullshit, unrealistic ideology down onto you, whether you like it or not. These are the people that would have gladly stormed your house in the morning and shot you up with mRNA vaccines forcibly. They're the people that shut down your businesses, even though you live in a supposedly democratic, free country. They're the people that are for censorship. In history, no one that has been pro-censorship has been the good guy. Remember that. They are the Nazis, people. And I would say we have more reason to be afraid of them getting power than they do of us getting power. Because when we get power, we're not just going to exterminate all of them. You know what I mean? But them, I don't know. They use every tool possible aside from trying to kill everybody in order to shut down the right, shut down the right's views, censor the right. So why wouldn't they go to any extreme if that extreme suddenly became acceptable like it did in the Nazi times, right? Listen, people, I don't know how many times I've got to say it. This is serious, serious business, all right? I know people are like, yeah, but it's politics, and who really cares? Yeah, who really cares is what got us here. These people are insane. You can't let people that are mentally deficient, right, that can't think for themselves, that can't make decisions based on what they know is right and what they know is real, but make decisions based on what their leftist ideology tells them. It's insane. We can't let it happen. We have got to treat this fight the same way they are. They see it as a war, and they have pulled us into this war whether we like it or not. And if we don't start fighting back, we are going to lose. I don't know how much clearer I can say it. What they did to Elise Vital over the weekend with the summer interview was absolutely beyond the pale. And there should be consequences, but there will not be, right? In the end, I think it benefited Elise Vital. So I'm glad, because regular normies can now also see the game they're playing. The mask is slipping. We need to start using that shit to our advantage and go on the offensive with these people. That's all I got for today. Everybody enjoy their Tuesday, the 22nd of July. We'll see you guys tomorrow.